Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up. I'm Run7. How you doing? Today on Defense Up, I want to talk about some corrections that that came up in the comments section. By the way, if you ever see me have a weird opinion and you're curious about it, you can do just like Tyler Stoger did and ask me in the comments and I'll get back to you. He pointed out something that I've been missing for a while, which is why do I like Coulson as a striker, or why do I like Coulson as a raider instead of a striker? And the thing is, I don't. I like him as a striker on his original team, like you see here. But I forget to mention this to people. Nowadays, we see Coulson on some other teams, such as like this one. And this is the one where I like him as a raider, not a striker. So, on his original team, which is Coulson, Fury, and the Minions, we see him as a striker because on his basic, he has turn meter rewind. And most of his team is going to be Raider. Now, on this specific team, I like Healer or Fortifier or maybe even Skirmisher on Shield Security, and then Healer over here on Medic, but she can also be either Raider or Skirmisher. Skirmisher's probably better. These two definitely have to be Raider. And then you have Coulson as a striker, and there's lots of vulnerables on the field for him to do his double tap on and turn back that turn meter. However, on a team like this, he's paired up with all these big, powerful strikers, and they're the ones who need the vulnerables on the field so they can do that massive damage. And Coulson has AoEs in his attacks, both his special and ultimate, maybe his basic too, I think. Anyway, he jumps around a lot, has lots of opportunities to put more and more of those vulnerables on the field. That's what Raiders are good for, especially if they have increased crit chance or something like that. Like the WepX team, it's great to make them as Raiders because you can get more vulnerables on the field with just one person. And that's what we want Coulson for, because he's dealing the least amount of damage on this team. Yo-Yo's great at being a skirmisher because of her offense down. You wanted that to stick, so you do a level 5 on her. And then you have these big, powerful strikers that are bouncing off the vulnerables. So on this team, I like him as a Raider. On this team, I like him as a striker. And on this team, this is a different team. We see it's Coulson, Fury, Minions, but they have Kestrel in here. This is kind of like your choice. Now, I think Fury should probably be a Raider on this team, not a healer. Never a healer, in fact, always a Raider. And then, of course, probably Skirmisher and Healer on this. And then it's kind of your choice. Do you think there's going to be enough vulnerables on the field for Kestrel to do her double tap? Or do you want him to do his turn meter rewind? You know, frankly, I think this is just a poor team. I don't think you should be using it. But that is why I like Coulson as a Raider instead of a striker, because more of the bigger teams at the higher end have those big strikers that are needing the vulnerables. Okay, so in Defense Up, we grade on 5 different criteria. It's who are you using, their power levels, their placement, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. You can always check the description down below for what teams we're going over. Drag the slider till you see them up here in the window, and you can skip ahead if you like, because these things kind of tend to run a little bit longer. We are looking at the Sinning Saint. The Sinning Saint's defense. Now, he is nearly a day one launch player. I think he said he's like the first week the game came out. And so he's got some big teams in here. Now, that's kind of surprising because I see a lot of very strange hybrids in here. And I don't know if he is trying to throw people for a loop or if he really likes this. But let's see. Here we go. So, team number 1, we've got this hybrid of Asgardians and WepX. Now, I think this team is going to change real soon. He took out Hela and Thor. So he's probably running Thor on the Wave 1 Avengers, and Hela is not to be used on defense ever. She is a liability. I have tried to utilize her, and it's not working out at all. So replacing those on the Asgardians and getting some use out of the team is something to do. However, I like Loki on the new Warriors offense team. He makes that team time out differently so that you can use Cloak before Deathpool, and then Deathpool can spread those negative effects that Cloak puts out on the field. It's an interesting little trick. I like Loki there. He has a lot of synergy with that team, plus he's putting the defense down. So take him off this team, put him on offense. But for now, until you build up the rest of your WepX team, or if you are not building it up, maybe you should just do it now. I'm just not excited about this. I think it's kind of a place you're throwing your junk, and as such an old player, we can definitely do better than this team. You have Loki as a healer. That's a terrible idea. These two are raiders. That's correct. He's a raider. That's correct. You have her as a skirmisher. That's okay, but I like her better as a raider. And then, of course, these two aren't war ready. And I'm not sure if you want to make them. I'm thinking we should scrap this team and come up with a completely better build. This should be offense. These guys are going to be offense. And then these are just trash that are probably going to end up on your bench. So, for me, this team is like a C-. Right? Like, I really like him as a cutting-edge offensive team member. And then, of course, these two on a team that's up around the corner. So C- for that. Let's just take the whole team apart and try something else. Team number 2 is a Wave 1. Except we've got Tony Stark and Vision in here instead of your Hawkeye and Black Widow. So Vision is an Avenger. He's not a Wave 1 Avenger, though. Tony Stark does have the Wave 1 Avenger tag, so we've got some synergy there. Normally, I would like to see Captain America next to Hulk, but on this specific build, you're going to want to have Captain America to the outside with Hulk to the outside. Thor's good here. He could be better. I think I'd like to see you bring Hawkeye back in here. I mean, personally, I like Hawkeye and Black Widow on the Wave 1 Avengers, and then put some more power into your Hulk. You got this team built up pretty good. I don't like the power levels on Hulk. And then Tony's not war ready. So, yeah, let's build up Hulk. I don't know. Where's your... Okay, they're over here on a Skilletary build. They got good synergy here on the Skilletary build too, but Skilletary has other people you can put in there. You could put in the Merc Soldier, and you could put in a Killmonger over here and make that happen. And then you could bring him back over here. But I mean, honestly, Skilletary should be used for offense. Anyways, a lot of things going wrong. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. For this team is a C for me. Build up Hulk. I would like to see you bring in those two people back here. Change that placement so that Captain America is over here. We do want Hulk to the outside because he taunts first. I think sometimes I just like don't even care whether it's Hulk or Captain America. Technically, Hulk should be to the outside, then Captain America. And then you're going to go Black Widow, and then you're going to go Thor and Hawkeye. It's just a far superior build. So C- for this team again. You're making do with some invested characters, though. I mean, honestly, Vision's going to go to waste if you're not using him there. Maybe a tech team for Vision or something. All right, team number 3. Here's the Skilletary. I'd like to see Skilletary being used on offense. I think at your level, you may be coming across some Mercs that don't have Ultimates in there. That's something you can use. Also, last week, we saw an AIM team, and some people in the comments were like, Skilletary just destroys those big AIM teams. So, AIM isn't something we see on defense a lot, but, depending on what you're finding in your opponent's rosters, Skilletary has some value, although it is waning. I don't know. It's a tough spot. These two teams, how you kind of meshed them together. I like the traditional builds better myself. I like this team on offense. If you're going to use it on defense, you might as well put these guys back over on Wave 1. Put in Killmonger and that Merc, the Merc minion guy. I don't know. Is his passive? His passive is for war offense, I believe, isn't it? I'll have to look into that. If his passive is for war, just straight war, then yeah, get him on this team. If it's for war offense, well, then he's useless. Because really, the only reason to put him on the Skilletary team is to spawn in for that. Let's check this out. You got Skirmisher. She should be Striker, or vice versa. You could make him Striker and her Skirmisher, but Healer is not the way to go on Black Widow. She's fast, but she doesn't have a very big health bar, so that 20% rejuve or whatever it is not doing much. Striker is correct. Raider is correct. Healer is okay. I like him as a Skirmisher. Sometimes a fortifier, but healer's fine. You already got the blue ISO built into him, so that's fine. Leave him as a healer. That works. Yeah, for me, this is a C. I think it's better used on offense. Let's move on to team number 4. Okay, Secret Avengers. with Captain Marvel and Shuri. Okay, again, and here's what's happening. I looked ahead. We've got two different teams that should be combined for one offensive team. You should be taking Kestrel and Fury and combining them with your Secret Avengers, using them on offense. They can do some really amazing things. So, and in war, it's always offense first and then defense. So I think you should take this team apart and then take this team apart and use those two on offense. If you want to build a Fury minion or a Coulson minion team, you can. You've got him set to Raider, however, so I think the Inhumans defense is the way to go with him. But let's take a look at this. Skirmisher correct, Striker correct, Healer correct, Striker correct, Healer. Okay, so those are all the correct ISOs. I just don't like this team. As is, it's pretty decent, and I'll give you a B for it because it's a correct build, it's good placement and everything, but I would like to see you take this team apart, use them on offense, and then take this team apart and use them on offense also. You should be taking Coulson as a Raider and using something like Black Bolt, Silver Surfer, let's go with Yo-Yo, and maybe... no, I don't like Deathpool anymore. I think we should go back to Crystal. It's a good tried and true defense that's kind of tough and people have to pay attention to it. Plus, you don't have to change the ISOs with that. These two characters are pretty overinvested. I mean, I guess you could do something else, just two different plug-and-play characters on this same team, but he's really set up to be a striker on this old-school minion team. Kind of a tough bet. So, again, this is an okay team, but you're doing ISOs a little weird here. I don't know why you have him as a healer. He should be a Raider in every build. Fortifiers, whatever on here. I kind of like him as a skirmisher these days, and healer works for medic. Striker's definitely correct on Kestrel. I'm going to give you a C for this also. Again, we should be taking teams apart and focusing on offense. Here we go. Team number 6 is the Mercs. Oh, Hella-Zemo Mercs. This is an interesting build. Now, Hella-Zemo, or Hela Mercs, used to be pretty badass with, like, Loki down here, because... you'd still get the taunt from the Mercs. I believe on his war buff he gets the taunt. Somebody will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. You'd still get the taunt from the Mercs, and then Hela would be focusing her attention on that, spreading blind, spreading defense down, whatever, and it would have an interesting effect there. They could really blow some stuff up with that. However, in every single defensive build now, Hela is a liability. Even in this, with Zemo coming in here and opening up, clearing positive effects, and throwing out that RNG with the ability block, he's an absolute liability. Or she is an absolute liability still, and so now you're not only wasting your Mercs, but you're wasting Zemo too. That's not a good idea. I like Zemo on a Red Skull team. I like him on offense. I like him for a lot of different things. He's a very versatile character. You can use him as a skirmisher or a Raider. Either way, probably just keep him as a Raider since he's war ready. But get him off this team. Get her off this team. Replace them... I think you should just replace them at your level. You should replace them with Ultimus and Bullseye, or Ultimus and Korath the Pursuer. It really depends on which one you have built up more. They're both kind of trash tunes, and I hate to invest in them, but you know that Korath the Pursuer with the ability block and his speed, man, he can really bring out some damage potential with your skirmisher Taskmaster, and you have him set as a striker. That's very unfortunate. That's another thing. So you want striker, you can keep him as a healer, then you're gonna have Ultimus as a striker, and then or Raider or whatever you want him as, actually. Maybe even a skirmisher might be for Ultimus on this particular build. Your choice. But anyway, skirmisher for Taskmaster so that he gets the double tap. You got him built up and everything. Utilize that power, and then your other Merc is going to be a striker also. You want as many Merc strikers as possible so you get the triple taps with him. Yes, his basic, he can copy effects, and that does have some value. So outside of this team, you're going to get some value for him in raids and stuff like that. If you're using him as a secondary character, he's not a first pick on many raids these days. But Mercs, he just has to be a striker. Skirmish. He just has to be a skirmisher on the Mercs. So Korath the Pursuer is a striker. Keep him as a healer. Change him to a striker. Ultimus as your choice. Get this team up and running. But get Hela out of here. This team is just going to fold no matter what. 2 different teams come in here and blow this team up now. Along with the traditional counters to Mercs. All right, so... yeah, that's, oh man, that's a D for that team. That's a big waste of resources right there. Hela's great on that supernatural team. You should get her on there. Okay, so here's where Coulson goes. Get Ghost out of here and put Coulson in here. And there you go. There's your defense with Coulson. Just like that. You have 1 skirmisher, 1 raider. You're barely getting enough vulnerables out there for these guys to pop off. You could leave her as a raider and put Coulson in here as a raider, and then you got plenty of vulnerables, so whoever these guys are hitting, they're double tapping like every time, and you're going to be doing just fine. I'd like to see her at level 5 ISO for that focus bonus. Ghost is a striker, but who cares? Who cares? Yeah, otherwise, you know, I mean, Ghost is a good alternative choice. If you're not going to put Coulson in here, if you don't want to build Coulson up to make him fit with his team, because I think he was a little bit lower. Where was he? Where's Coulson? Did I lose Coulson? Oh, there's Coulson. So, yeah, no, Coulson will fit on this team just fine. You don't need to do anything with Coulson. Leave him as a raider, put him on this team. He fits great. So I like that better. As is, this is just a B team. You're doing everything right. I just think that you should be putting Coulson in here and using Ghost on a different hybrid. Team number 8 is Symbiotes. Symbiotes are Symbiotes. They're fine. You went the Skirmisher route. You can also do Raider, but that's fine. Striker, 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 and Skirmisher. So you got 2 Skirmishers, 3 Strikers. I think maybe change her to a Skirmisher also. Yeah, I like her better as a skirmisher, so she's definitely clearing positive effects. She's definitely transferring negative effects. Yeah, otherwise this is fine. I think it's an A-. It'll work as is. You've already got a big investment in it, so just leave it. It's good enough. Personally, though, I like Symbiotes on offense. There's just too many things that they destroy really easily. And 1,000,000, man. I mean, you're crushing it. Here's 9. Emmarauders with Doom. Okay, you went straight healers across the board. Not a good choice. Fortifier on Strife. He's got barrier built into his kit. He utilizes it very well. He has more barrier than most characters, so you get a lot of value out of the Fortifier build. Healer is a secondary choice. He doesn't go very fast, but he's fast enough to utilize it. His health bar isn't very big anymore, especially after the Great Reset. So I do like him as a fortifier better. Then you've got Mystique next to him. She goes under stealth and keeps chain attacks from happening. That's a thing to do. Another person you could put in here is Doc Ock and make sure he's adjacent to, yeah, you just swap Doc Ock in here, right where he's at. He's going to put deflex on these 2 characters, and he's going to spread those deflex. Also, she gains evade, and if there's no splash damage, then she'll give it to him and he will spread it. Sinister will spread it. So keeping her away from Strife is also a thing to do. You could put Dr. Doom next to Strife and hope that some of that splash damage will help bring him down, but a lot of times people are coming into this team with an X Factor team, and they will just go for pure damage and speed, and in that case you don't want him next to Strife. You want him as far away from Strife as possible. So it's a catch-22. I think that this is like number 3 or 4 on my list of Doom teams. I like him better on Uncanny. I like him better on Brotherhood. So, but whatever. It's a thing to do. If that's where you want him, it's okay. Healer and Healer is correct here. I don't like this. I think she should be a Skirmisher. I think he should be a Fortifier. Don't bother changing him. You're already over invested. But her as a healer is a waste. That's a waste. However, I think rather than change her ISO, swap out the character with like a Doc Ock. Otherwise, pretty good. I'm gonna say B- for that. There's a few things we can do to make it better. One of the best things that we can do these days with Emmarauders is just break up the team, use the pieces for hybrids on both offense and defense, and put Doom on a better defensive team. Team number 10, last but not least, is the Heroes for Hire. Perfect. Got it just right. Nailed it in one. Fortifier, Healer, Striker, Skirmisher, Raider. Placement's great. So What was it I was thinking of? There was something I was thinking of with the Infinity Watch. Yeah, putting him as far away from Luke Cage as possible is a great idea, because there's the chance that they don't have the T4 in Nebula's ultimate, and she will only chain to here and stop. Whoops, I just made that smaller. She'll only chain to Misty Knight and stop. And I think so having him on the outside is the best placement instead of Colleen Wing, because he is a pretty good second target. Otherwise, Colleen Wing out here is a good second target also, but I think she's third. I don't know. Anyway, what you're doing is perfect. It's an A. I think you did a great job. So, if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. You can find links to my Discord in the description below. Please find me on Discord. You will need 2 key authorization for Discord or something. Basically, it means you got to be a legitimate human being and not a robot. So if you're having trouble getting in the Discord, that's why. But yeah, find me on Discord. Send me some pics. I'll put you on the list. I'm running about 2 weeks out these days. But yeah, I'd love to do your defense. I would. Really would. Don't just have a good game, guys. Be good to yourselves and each other too. Bye.